the funerals in Kasipul were declared unsafe for anybody.
Mtu hawezi kaa vile nimekaa hivi. Anakaa kama maiti kwa sababu ameweka panga na nini na marungu kwa lawn.
Walipika hapa, wakakucha hapa.
Watu 9 wameumizwa, wengine hawana mkono, wengine wameuliwa.
My brother was killed because of politics of Kasipul and politics of Homa Bay.
Hawa maguni zake anajulikana na Otis Ras. Anafanya kwa county government.
That is not true. The county government of Homa Bay has a very disciplined enforcement directorate.
Mimi kwangu siwezi nikasema naachia Mungu. Mungu pia achukue pande yake. Na serikali pia achukue pande yake.
We want justice.
For several years, Kasipul constituency has been regarded as the hotbed of politics in Homa Bay County. But perhaps it is the unfortunate events of the night of 30th of April 2025 that explicitly painted the real picture of how disjointed, fragmented and volatile the constituency is. Few minutes after the fatal shooting of the area member of parliament Charles Ong'ondo Were, a section of constituents took to the social media appearing to celebrate his shooting.
Alisema wanangoja mkutano ile nitakuwa. Plain police from outside Kasipul iwekwe, and that's why I want to speak. Iwekwe. Alafu youth iwe hired from Kisumu wakuje waanza kulete chaos ndio nipigwe risasi.
I've been very keen for the last 6 months, including the latest.
A statement that would ideally invoke the idiom relating chills and spines. This was one of the instances when now slain Kasipul member of the National Assembly, Charles Ong'ondo Were, openly talked about his life hanging on a thread. Come the night of 30th April 2025, the end of the month came the end of his life. A gangland-style assassination, not too long after leaving Parliament as he headed home.
There are 2 bullets that were hit. Either the honorable member was on phone or he was trying to protect himself. On the hand, on the upper part here, 1 bullet went through and a bullet head was recovered. On the lower part, which where the watch at the wrist, it hit the watch. Parts of the watch were recovered inside his body and it went through. We don't know. Of these bullets, 1 of them went through the back and exited this side. So the conclusion of the chief government pathologist was that it was not possible for Ong'ondo Were to survive, and it's most likely he died instantly or before he reached the hospital.
I spoke to my brother some 10 minutes when I was in Migori. Domestic issue, we were discussing 2 domestic issues. Within a span of 10 to 15 minutes, I was called by security that the MP has been shot.
The execution of the Member of Parliament opened a Pandora's box, unveiling a side of the constituency and its politics that was hitherto unknown to many Kenyans. Kasipul constituency was in a short rotation of the clock's hands, painted as a territory that had been harboring deep-seated animosity as a result of bloody, chaotic, and fierce political competition among some of the children of its soil. As a consequence, and evidenced in these blood-chilling images and videos, unspecified number of people are said to have lost their lives, and others having been subjected to grievous physical harm, having a nose cut and pieces of it gone for good. In another incident, limbs were chopped off. In yet another, an ear was lost to the swing of a blade. In a different page of this gory reality, a broken skull. The damage was also on property, including vehicles that were left damaged. Funerals, ideally solemn events, ended in disarray. A volatile Kasipul, or Kasipul in turmoil, if you may.
In a funeral at our home area, I lost my grandfather, came to mourn. And Ong'ondo Were decided just to do away with the Constituency, just because we have different opinions, man.
On that fateful day, the late Ong'ondo Were was in Parliament for several hours, engaging fellow MPs in some usual banter.
I want to say that on a strange twist on that material day, I was with Ong'ondo Were after he had had lunch. So Ong'ondo came, we had a word together.
At exactly 7:24 p.m., as captured on Parliament CCTV cameras, he left for his current home, going through the Nairobi Central Business District, where he and the aides he was with stopped to run an errand, which took few minutes. They left. On reaching the roundabout at the Nairobi Funeral Home, more popularly known by its former name City Mortuary, they were ambushed. He was sprayed with bullets and left for dead. That night, Ong'ondo's blood was flowing, and for those close to him, their blood was boiling. Rangwe Member of Parliament Lilian Gogo did not mince her words as shell-shocked members of Parliament gathered at the Lee Funeral Home.
It is not in darkness that Ong'ondo Were had had his life threatened, a matter which he had already reported to the DCI. And I want to say this with my eyes strictly on the cameras, that the perpetrator of this particular murder is known. And there is a way of violence that is creeping up in Homa Bay politics that must be tamed by law enforcement authorities. It has ended up ending in a life gone of a member of parliament who is a servant of the people, and I don't think we are ready to lose any more lives.
This sentiment, which was repeated by various other leaders, points to a concerning situation in Kasipul and the nature of its politics and the apparent extremes that exists therein.
No, it was just a span of 5 months. 5 months. The brother has been complaining very bitterly. It is in a public domain, because those are things spoken in rallies within Kasipul. I think he wrote even a letter to the DCI in Nairobi. He reported very many cases here. But to our surprise, no action was taken. There are people who even sent him SM messages, threats.
The Nairobi connection in it is actually just the people who shot, but the masterminds, the planners spoke about it openly. Videos are available, them threatening to completely delete the member of parliament. And you know, sometimes in politics you would assume that these are just not serious threats. In this case, it turned out that these were really genuine threats, because these people threatened him everywhere, and they said he will know. In fact, at some point they said they are going to deal with him permanently in a short while. Some of those people who said that are the people who were already arrested, and they said that in social media platforms, in public forums.
Wiki mbili iliyopita iko wakora 5. Moja alikuwa MCA Nairobi, wakaenda Kisumu kwa hoteli ile inaitwa Ronaldo. Wanasema hii mtu tunamaliza na si watu ya Kasipul. Waine si wa Kasipul, wawili ni wa Kasipul na moja yao ni jirani yangu pale. Jirani yangu pale vile amekaa kwao ni Western Maka, lakini boma yake ni Central. wakaongea, nililipia yeye karo. Msichana ukimwona huwezi ukajua ni Jaluo. Alitembea tu, anakunywa soda. Wajinga wakafikiria huyo ni Kikuyu nyeupe. Mambo yao yote vile walikuwa napanga, msichana akapinya simu. Ona bahati ya Mungu, niko naye yote. Mfanyakazi moja ya serikali kwenye eneo hili jioni, lakini si Mjaluo, akasema hii mtu anatusumbua, tuwezi tukatafuta hata askari moja yule alifukuzwa amalize yeye ndiye arudishwe kazi. Yule anaongea naye hajajua ni kachero yangu.
And as a family spokesman, I said it with authority. My brother was killed because of politics of Kasipul and politics of Homa Bay chairmanship.
Hata wakati moja alikuwa na tatizo na security yake, wakachukua bunduki, alikuja. I instructed the clerk within 1 week, ilikuwa rectified.
He actually knew what was going to happen to him. Because when we were celebrating the Pinyeluo earlier this year, we went to a function, and after the function was over, Ong'ondo came and jumped in my car and told me that there's some people who are following me here. He just came in and squeezed himself into my car and told me there's some people here with bad intentions. I'm not going to tell you now, but I will tell you later on. So these people have been trailing Ong'ondo for a long time. And there were people who were known. Ong'ondo knew them. And I hope that the investigation of the police is going to lead to these people so they can be apprehended. Yes, they've already arrested quite a number, but those are basically agents who have been hired. The authors of this crime must be brought to book.
The case of Ong'ondo Were has thrust into the wider national view the political situation in Kasipul and the wider Homa Bay County. Some residents of Oyugi's town painfully paint a picture of what the constituency has become. A funeral is easily yet another battleground for politicians and their hired goons who unleash violence of monumental proportions.
Have you been in any place where that political violence kicked in?
I've been in 2 places, of course, particularly funerals, where 2 political protagonists met. And of course, that is the former MP, the late MP, may his soul rest in peace, and other political players who are gunning for the 2027 elections. So somehow it erupted and people started fighting all over. And that was the normal thing. That was in a place called Nyatindo, and then there was one in Sino. Those are the only 2 cases that I can tell.
How was the situation?
The situation was horrible, hectic. It was dangerous. It was pathetic. By the way, funerals socially bring people together from all walks of life. But it was like the funerals in Kasipul were declared unsafe for anybody coming from anywhere.
Imekuwa tu ile hali tu ngumu tu ya maisha katika Kasipul because of politics. So our aspirant wanachukua mavijana wanawaweka kwa mtego ya kupigana, ilhali wao wanaishi maisha yao mazuri. So tumekuwa tukiishi kwa maisha mabaya tu juu ya politics tu. Ong'ondo former MP also yeye pia alikuwa tu anapenda tu mambo ya vita tu. Ni ukweli tu isemwe.
Lakini sasa ya hapa ya hao vijana leo vizuri na siasa kama ya zamani. Wakati Samuel Onyanga Yodi ilikuwa mzuri, Joseph Mbori ilikuwa mzuri kabisa. Wale ambao nilikuwa nafanya hapa awali. Nilikuwa nafanya siasa ya hakuna kupigana. Kwa hiyo ya juzi hivi ya vijana nafanya siasa yao sio mzuri. Unaona bila hiyo leti ilienda huyo Were. ilikuwa mtu mzuri, akiana majesi kufanyika kwa hapa kijiji yetu, Were huwa anasaidia watu kabisa. Hata kama ni mbali itakuja.
No, you can't blame anybody specifically because it's a situation that has come up with the times. I always tell people that Kasipul has reached a level where situations change. And as situations change, human beings change tactics. So at one time, when we see, the former MP, that is the first MP, they would talk to people, win votes. Others came up with a way of winning votes by taming, maiming, beating. It is just a political quagmire that has arisen of past.
Were was not alien to the violent, politically instigated controversies and clashes at funerals and other public events.
Before the latest fracas, I went into a funeral in Godinyango, which after the funeral, the road was blocked. I could not pass. Luckily enough, I had the security. The following day, in our funeral in Nyatindo, immediately I arrived there before even praying. One of the notorious criminals who comes from Kachin called a boy stated that I will not talk there. The villagers there were angered. What happened and the process are within investigating agencies, which I don't want to address.
Hooligans attacked him also. He was nearly killed at a funeral in East Kamagak ward. He had just walked into a funeral, but he found people waiting for him, hooligans waiting for him there. And immediately he got into, the house to condole with the bereaved, as is always the formal way of doing it. People started raining stones on the roof, and they brought the roof down with the member inside. So that was a quite scaring moment at that point.
Kuna incidents which happened in a certain funeral in Kalando, where the MP was locked inside the house with mawe. Vijana wanarusha mawe. Eventually, the investigators were bribed, and a report came that the MP was the one beating people, and he was locked inside the house. So that one also was a clear indication that there were some people. These people were being protected by a certain quarter. Yes. So in that, we really blamed the government. It was very ugly. The member of parliament bila aliingia hivi, kuingia kwa nyumba kuomba hivi, kumbe vijana ilikuwa imeshaletwa. Wakaanza kurusha, aliingia kwa nyumba ndio aombe console family. Vijana wakaanza kurusha mawe. Mpaka itabidi we seek intervention of police. So mwenye alifungiwa ndani, ambaye polisi ndiye alitoa huko ndani, ndio inakuja anasema huyu ndiye alicreate chaos. How do you create chaos? Umeingia bila unaingia kwa nyumba, watu wanaanza kurusha mawe. Una create chaos namna gani? Chaos namna gani? So the same person ndio inakuwa somebody is bribing the DCI kuandika report ati huyu ndiye alifanya makosa. Ndiye alipiga watu. Now, police personally alikuja mpaka ndiye akamtoa kwa nyumba.
One of the notorious criminals who comes from Kachin called a boy.
This is the boy being referred to. Allegedly, in January, they attacked Ong'ondo Were's vehicle in Oyugi's town, but the member of parliament was not in the car. A few days later, he was cornered and his nose was cut. We traced and caught up with him in Oyugi's town, but he declined to grant an interview, claiming his injury was a result of a different matter. The last incident of political violence at a funeral which the MP attended occurred on Monday, 28th April, in Kachola village, 2 days before his assassination. Edward Okwanyo, whose cousin's burial it was attacked and hit on the head with an iron bar.
Nikaambia wacha kama anakuja kunishika hapa, wakuje wanishike tu hapa. Sitasimama. Nilikaa tu hivyo. Huyo MP akaanza kuimba, amesimamisha watu wake, wanaanza kuimba kama anapiga sijui Ong'ondo Were ODM, Joel Abach ODM, sijui nini, hata makanisa ODM, sijui hata kiti ulika ODM. Wakaenda hivi. Wamerudi hivi sasa mahali nilikaa. Jeneza tulikaa karibu na jeneza. Wamerudi tu hivi. Na hawa maguni zake. Wanarudi tu karibu na mimi. Akifika karibu na jeneza, ameitisha tena maombi. Sasa hiyo vile anakuwa anaitisha maombi, hawa maguni zake wamenizingira. Dakika chache nasikia kama nimeshikwa huku. Huyu mwenye ametoa kofia nimejua. Anafanya kwa county government, anaitwa nickname ni Otis Ras. Sijui na official name siwezi jua. Anajulikana na Otis Ras. Anafanya kwa county government, ni enforcement officer. Mwenye amenishika hapa pia kwa nickname ni Nyakwarogwa. Official name siwezi jua. Yeye pia anafanya kwa enforcement officer ya county government. Mwenye alinichapa huyu pia nimejua. Anaitwa Farao. Sasa vile huyu ametoa kofia kwangu, huyu akanishika hapa, wameingilia kwangu. Huyu Farao akanichapa na chuma. Akanijamba na chuma seriously.
These allegations led us to seek the county government's response. We reached out to Governor Gladys Wanga, who was unavailable for our interview, but one of her close aides and staffers eventually spoke to us. Isaac Ongiri is Homa Bay County's chief officer in charge of governance, administration, devolution, stakeholder management, public participation, special projects, and disaster management.
You are employees of the county under the law and enforcement, which means that it is your staff that was shielding the MP and causing violence.
Yes, I've seen such claims, of course careless indeed, by some of our people, leaders from that region. I want to say that is not true. The county government of Homa Bay has a very disciplined enforcement directorate. We've trained them. You know, they are very civilized, and they have their work cut out. They don't engage in political activities in the village. Probably somebody wanted to associate us with this, but that is not factual. Yeah, no report has even been given to us to complain against specific people. Our enforcement officers are very well trained. I am the one in charge of that particular group, and Khaemba, you know that I'm a very disciplined person. And we can't work with the hooligans. These people have been converted. Some of them were youth wingers before, but now they are very busy working and earning a living, you know, the decent way.
Even the person who claimed was beaten, the MP was not there. The MP had already left. So even those who caused the chaos, we don't know them because the MP had already left the function.
Hapo unajua vile alinifanyia na immediately ndiye anakutana na hiyo kifo chake, hata mimi nilistuka nini ilitokea. Kwa sababu sisi hata kama alinifanyia hii ingawa sikukufa, sasa tulikuwa tunaongoja yeye 2027 tuonyeze yeye sio king, kwa sababu hii ofisi wananchi ndio walipea yeye. Sisi tulikuwa tunafanya mobilization asipigwe kura tena, asipewe kura tena. Hiyo tu ndio lengo yangu. Lakini sasa vile amekutana na kifo chake, hiyo ni mpango ya Mungu, mimi siwezi jua. Yes.
What went through your mind?
No. Mimi nilifanya tu pole. Nilisema tu pole. Lakini nilikuwa nataka nionyeze yeye, nilikuwa nataka akae hai, tuonyeze yeye we are the people. Yes, nilikuwa natarajia aone mna macho. Ingawa alikutana na kifo chake vile Mungu alipangia yeye, mimi siwezi jua.
They say, oh, the MP was doing this. But hakuna charge hata moja alikuwa charged. There's no charge even one. Why do they bring it now? Why do they bring the blames now? But the police were there, and all these incidences, hakuna wakati amekuwa charged. Ura kwa summoned kwa police, tulifanya hii, ulifanya hii.
Kuna mwingine sijui alivamiwa kwa hoteli, ati sijui aliongea tu kwa social media, wakatoka mahali walikaa wakaenda wakadunga kisu huko kwa hoteli nyingine inaitwa Greenville. Yes. Akadungwa kisu mpaka sijui matumbo ikatoka. Mimi sikukuwa na yeye hapo, lakini ilitokea. Mpaka kuna mwingine alikufa anaitwa Umo Kiso. Hey. Umo Kiso alikuwa upande yake. Ndio guns walienda nayo mpaka watu wamekuwa crowd. Clan walikuwa crowd mpaka wamevamia huyo. Yeye akakimbia na gari ya CDF akaenda Kisumu.
Mbona security wako act?
Unajua anatumia hawa watu na alikuwa anaweka pesa kwa, tuacha tu niseme, alikuwa anaweka pesa kwa polisi sana. Tulikuwa na shida na polisi. Unaenda unapeleka ripoti hapo wananyamisa tu. Unapeleka ripoti una threatened au watu wake, hata uyugis uwezi kaa na amani. Ukisema tu MP anafanya makosa fulani, uwezi kaa hata uyugis. Walikuwa wanakuja wana terrorize watu hapo sana. Hata kwa club tu mahali watu wanapumzika, unatafutwa.
Naweza sema roughly watu wa 9 wameumizwa, wengine hawana mkono, wengine hawana nini, wengine wameuliwa pia due to ya politics ya Kasipul.
Most of them wako tu na injury. Kama kuna mwingine anaitwa Skuku, is a neighbor to that MP. Is a neighbor. Tena ni clan yao. Alikatwa mpaka alichapwa mpaka aliwachwa kama mwenye kama amepoteza fahamu. Anaitwa Skuku. Mpaka hii masikio yake imeenda nje ya. Kuna mwingine sijui aling'oa mapua, na huyo mwenye aling'oa hiyo mapua alikuwa guni yake na aliaga tu, alikuwa anaitwa Roy. Aling'oa hii mapua yote nje.
A few kilometers from Oyugis town in Kasipul, we visited Basi village in Kasipul, Kabondo. It was a slippery and muddy affair, perhaps symbolic of the political environment in this part of South Nyanza. We arrived at the home of the late Sylvanus Okoda Omolo, who was a herbalist, whose son, Evans Okoda, was brutally murdered on 2nd May 2024 in Oyugis town. Evans, considered a man of all seasons, who was hired as a dependable and feared security detail for several politicians in the region since 2013, had provided his services to more than 5 of them. They say he was as lethal as they come. He may be resting in his grave, peaceful as some would say, but the horrendous manner in which he met his death still remains a shocker.
Tukachukua mamake mzazi akavaa nguo, sisi wote vile tukwa ine hivi. Tukaenda tu Oyugis. Kushuhudia kifo yake hatukuamini. Juu alikatwa hii pua yote ikang'olewa. Hapa hii ikakatwa. Yaani ilikuwa tu kama nyama, mkono yake tu hivi, hii ilitolewa. Hatukuamini mtoto wetu.
Hatukuchua ni nani aliua huyo mtoto wetu. Lakini tuko na uchungu. Tangu huyu mtoto amekufa, ametuachia, hata tuwezi sahau. Lakini tunawachia Mungu ambaye mwenye alifanya mtoto wetu huko ndiye analala. Walichapa na nini na panga. Walipika hapa, wakakucha hapa, wakakucha hapa, wakakucha hapa, wakakucha hapa, wakakucha hapa. Na hii mkono walikata. Na hiyo mkono yake vile walikata, ilimaliza wiki mzima vile kupata hii mkono. Tukasema sasa tutasika mwili namna gani? Na hakuna mkono yake. Sasa hii mkono yake ikamaliza wiki moja ndio wakarudisha hiyo mkono.
Waliweka wapi mkono yenyewe?
Hiyo mkono ulikuwa mwezi wa 5 vile mvua inanyesha hivi. Si unaona hii maji na terumuka hapo kwa nini? Kwa njia. Pakachukua, unajua karatasi nyeupe. Chwala. Pakachukua chwala wakaweka mkono yake. Na watoto walikuwa wanacheza wadogo. Mimi nasikia walisema mimi sikuwako. Sasa hivi wanaona mkono yake nawekwa hapa kwa hii ndio nyumba inaenda kwake. Sasa hii maji ilikuwa inatiririka hapa kwa mtaro. Sasa wakaona hii mkono yake. Wakafikiri ati ni samaki. Kumbe si samaki. Watoto wakaanza kusema ati ni mkono ya nani? Kuja muangalieni. Ndio hiyo mkono ikapatikana ikapelekwa Mortuary.
Sasa tunasema tu mkono yake iko wapi? Mwenye aliua yeye arudishe tu mkono. Desturi ya Wajaluo hatuwezi kuzika mtu nusu. Lazima ishikwe tu yote.
Kazi yake alikuwa anatembea na wanasiasa. Alikuwa anawafanyia kazi kama bodyguard yao. Hiyo ndio sana ilikuwa kazi yake. Tangu aache zule, akaingia bodaboda kidogo ndio akaacha akaingia sasa maneno ya siasa sasa kusaidia wanasiasa sasa akitembea nao. Kama ulinda usalama kwa upande wa hao wanasiasa. Na alifanya na wengi sio ati mmoja peke yake.
These were opponents. These were people from the arrival group. But you know, the police were investigating this matter. What is sad is that so many months after the death of the youth, no one has been told what really happened. We now hear that probably they may have been having their own differences in their camp, which occasioned that death. That was sometimes also, I think, in May 2022, 2024. Yes, of course, some people attempted to link it to the member. There was no evidence. He was not arrested. He was not interviewed by the police for anything. Of course, a few of his orderlies or supporters and security people were questioned, and then they were left. We also know that from among that rival group, people who are also known to be hooligans, who were operating with the same gentleman who died, is called Okoda. They were also arrested at some point, questioned, and left. And to date, no one has been charged formally in court.
Sasa unajua saira watu wako na uchungu. Mtu ataweza sema nini kitu yake ataweza sema. Alisema ati mjumbe ndiye aliua yeye. Mimi nasema ukweli. Walisema ati mjumbe ndiye alifanya nini? Aliua yeye. Na mjumbe ataweza kuua yeye namna gani? Tuliulizana. Na sasa mjumbe anaua yeye na Evans ndiye alikuwa na mkampeni stago vile alipata hiyo kiti. Ataweza kuua yeye na mtu. Tukasema hiyo ni uongo. Sababu sisi tulikuwa hapa nyumbani. Tulisikia tu watu wanaongea hapo Yugisi.
Lakini ile kitu inatushangaza. Ati kutoka siku hiyo mpaka sasa mpaka wa leo. Hakuna mwenye amesema ati mnaitwa kutini. Mnaitwa kutini. Hakuna mwenye atatuita ati kesi yake ilikuwa namna gani. Na hii ilikuwa kesi ile mbaya. Aliua ile mbaya kinyama. Hata kama tungesikia ati ameola na sumu ama akate tu na ama nini na afadhali, lakini alikuwa anakata tu kama mwenye anakatwa kama mwenye anaweka nini huko kwa bachari. Hatukusikia vizuri. Tulikuwa tu chunga hatujazudia hiyo kifo yenye Evans yetu alikufa. Juzi mamaka kaenda huko Kisumu ikaenda hivyo. Sasa mnakuja tu vile mnakuja tu saa hii. Ndio nilikuwa nikisema tu vile kuja tu saa hii. Utusaidie tuende wapi na tufikie wapi. Juu sitasema ati naachia Mungu. Juu kuna nini hapa hata hapa nchi hapa Kenya yetu hii. Kuna right ya mtu. Kama Evans lazima kuwa na right yake. Sasa pale tunaweza kupata right Evans ndio hatujapata mpaka leo. Mimi kwangu siwezi nikasema naachia Mungu. Mungu pia achukue pandi yake. Na serikali pia achukue pandi yake. Na ile kitu inanivudi kabisa. Juzi mbunge ameuliwa. Dakika kidogo tu jalala na mwenye amefanya hivi amepatikana. Kila siku inapatikana. Na huyu yetu yeye kwa nini hawezi patikana? Kwani yeye ana right yake? Na sisi watu wa mama wake hatuna right yetu. Lazima tukue right yetu. Kifo ni moja vile mama alisema. Kifo ni moja. Kifo amemuua ndiye ameue mwingine ndiye ataniua. lakini kifo ni uchungu yote. Hakuna kifo ile inakuja mzuri. Sasa right yetu ndio nataka kutoka saa hii mpaka kutoka siku ile mpaka leo ni mwaka moja. Hatujaitwa hata kwa nini, hata kwa court tusikie habari kuna namna gani.
Kenye ilifanya auawe hatukuwa tumejua mpaka saa hizi. Ndio tunataka serikali sasa itusaidie haki ipatikane. Haki ipatikane. Tunaomba president wetu William Ruto na Raymond Omolo kama naweza kufuatilia familia wajue ukweli kenye iliua ndugu yetu Evans Okoda. Tujue.
Behind me is the grave of Evans Okoda, an outsider of Kasipul who hailed from Kabondo, Kasipul. Now with the debate on ongoing political violence in Kasipul, his family has gone back to his grave as they discuss grave matters. Theirs is a quest for justice for their son. The allegations of how evil a man Ong'ondo Were was were relentless, coming at a time when the man had been killed in cold blood, evoking raw emotions, especially among those who are close to him. It even led to concerns about the safety and peace at his funeral. Those close to Were came out in his defense, dismissing the claims, even though they were accompanied by pictures, videos and testimonials.
Nilisikia waliongea wakasema hii maneno ya hooliganism hii ya watu wanakimbia kwa masisi, watu wanakimbia kwa mkutano hii mara. Unajua wacha nikuambie my friend. Mimi sijawahi ona siasa ile ilikuwa hapa Homa Bay. And by the way nasanga watu wanakuja na crude weapons. Hata nilishangaa na OCPD siku moja niliuliza OCPD anasema ati leo nimekaa hapa nataka nione wenye wanaleta vita na watu wameweka crude weapons kwa wanaenda kwa matanga. Crude weapons kwani hiyo ni forest watu wanaenda kuinda. Wewe ni security officer unasema unataka uone mwenye analeta vita na unaona mtu hawezi kaa vile nimekaa hivi. Anakaa kama maiti kwa sababu ameweka panga na nini na marungu kwa lomi. Hiyo ni siasa gani? Hiyo ni siasa gani watu wanapiga?
Always came here on Friday. Every Friday is here. Na Monday anaenda. This was somebody who was a loving man, a loving leader. The MP could attend burial of even mtoto mdogo ya miezi. Hakuchagua ni matanga. Unajua most leaders tend matanga ya watu wakubwa. But Ogaima Milambo, we referred him Ogaima Milambo. Yeye alikuwa na attend all.
Hiyo ni nickname aliweka tu kwa mdomo yake. Ogaima Milambo, Ogai ni kitu muhimu sana. Ukisikia mtu anaitwa Ogai ni mtu mwenye analeta amani. Sio kama yeye. Yes. Ogai aliweka kwa mdomo yake lakini si mwenendo yake sio ya Ogai. Ogai ni mwenye anapoesa maneno. Mahali maneno inataka kuharibika Ogai ndiye anaingilia.
He had a sense of humanity despite what people have said about him. Because you want likes, you are already on the media attacking Ong'ondo Were with no information. The dangers of a single story. Media, even if he was the crook that he was said he was, where is his voice? Where is his right of reply? You can't paint somebody like a demon when he has no voice. I'm not saying he was excellent. That I can't vouch. I can't vouch. I can only say what I know of him. But you have a right to report correctly and give somebody a chance to be heard.
Because of the many, many things that people have said about this gentleman. Because I am the leader of this county, I am also his leader in the party. That Sir Charles strived for perfection. He tried to do his best by everybody. But for every leader and for every person, sometimes you fall short. Sometimes you don't meet the expectations of everybody. And sometimes people feel offended by your actions because not everybody can be happy. And I want to use this opportunity on his behalf because a lot has been said about him when he was not here to defend himself. While I disagree with all those things, in the event that he wronged anybody in this constituency, On his behalf, I want to take this opportunity kuwaomba msamaha, tumsamehe kwa mahali ambayo tulifikiria kufikisha yeye. Mungu amlaze pahali pema peponi.
We have seen that Ong'ondo is killed, and the following day the social media is full of stories of people who Ong'ondo was killed. People who has killed this killer. If Ong'ondo had been killing people, why has he never been arrested and charged? That's not an allegation against Ong'ondo. It is accusation of our security forces that he has somebody, a member of parliament, who can be killing people with impunity and has not been arrested by the security forces. Those people who actually organize those social media reports are themselves the people who are behind this crime. Ong'ondo has been shot and killed, but Ong'ondo's spirit will continue to live on. We cannot live in a society that tolerates this kind of impunity. This must come to an end. These people must be brought to book immediately. And they are known. They are known. And we know that this is actually as a political assassination. Political assassination is, we know it in this region. This must come to an end. We must build a tolerant society where people can disagree, but then shake hands at the end of it.
Charles ni mtu alikuwa anapenda amani. Ni mtu alipenda familia yake. Alitupenda sana.
Chenye naweza omba, wale walifanya hicho kitendo, hatuta complain sana kwa Mungu, but tusaidieni tupate justice. Na tukiipata, we will be at peace even better.
Much as these leaders stand in defense of the slain legislator, not everyone is in agreement. To some of the residents, Were was no saint.
MP alikuwa na hooliganism mingi. Hata nilisikia Jacom kama anaongea ati hizi maneno zote ilisanyiwa, mbona hawakupelekwa kotini. Kotini huyo alikalia kwa sababu alikuwa na pesa, kofia ya MP, alifanya maneno machafu sana. Sasa askari wanasulia tu hivyo.
The integrity of the person of Ong'ondo Were still faced criticism, even on other grounds. There is this other matter, the controversial disappearance of a 35-year-old Dorothy Apondi, who went missing in 2010 after the late Were said he was taking her to Meru for a job placement.
On a Thursday, I remember my mom calling me and asking me, "Have you heard from your sister Dottie?" I said, "No, why?" I have been trying her phone, but it's switched off. I went to Meru police station. I reported. When I went in, I found the officer. He was putting back his firearm. Then I said, "I want to report a missing person." Then I told him, "It's my sister. Where was she?" She was living with Mr. Were. He said, "That house again? Now let me take you to the OCS, because I can't handle such a case." The next day, the OCS, they called me. He told me, "Where is here? And I'd like you to come as well." So when I went, the guy almost grabbed me by the neck. He was sitting on the other side of the table. Then he had my statement in his hands. This is what the propaganda you're saying about me. Those people that have sent you to me, tell them I am still vying. I said, "Which people?" "I'm looking for my sister." You know, this guy tore my statement right in front of me and then put it back into the file and closed it.
This matter came to the fore just after Were was assassinated. The allegations painting him as a crude man were awash on social media, with postings said to be evidence of the same man in tow.
Those are politics. Those are politics. Yes, it is true, and it is a relative of ours. somebody of 40 years, she wasn't a young lady. Hata we kwako, mtu akikuja 40 years unaishi naye. Akiamua kutoka, utapeleka yeye mpaka mahali alitoka. Ulu unamwachilia anaenda. Even the day alitoka kwa brothangu, the brother was here at home. Even himself alikufa kama anataka kujua the truth behind it, because it was something brought politically. And wakati wa siasa, ndio wanasiasa wanaleta. So it was politics kutanish jina ya ndugu yangu. That is a relative, blood relative. As a family, tunaomba sana huyu msichana patikane mahali ako.
Disappearance of somebody is a matter that probably the police would have, delved in. Because you see, this Honorable Were was a member of the opposition all along. And you know how police deal with the cases involving the opposition. So we are shocked that the police was completely unable to deal with this matter, even after some of his rivals joined government and now operating from the office of the president, controlling the state security, that even after they took over those positions, they were unable to unearth the death of this particular, or the loss, or the missing of this particular, person. They were unable to, to handle all cases that you've been told around, and even stage arrest against anyone. And this was a member of an opposition politician. Very easy to deal with, by the government.
We were devastated, my friend. Angalia a situation like that, but somebody, na ukiona, that is why I'm telling you there was something. A day before my brother was killed, and the day he was killed, these things started running. Hata kama wewe ndio mjinga, usiona hapa there's something. Ukiangalia wale ambao walikuwa na post these things from social media, they are not residents of this constituency. Some are residents from Kisumu constituency, some are from Karachuonyo hapa, some are Suba huko. And two of them are an employee of a senior government official, are being paid. They are bloggers of PS.
All these things were coming to light even before his body fully went cold. The political undertones and brazen expressions were all getting interlinked, again painting the picture of the political atmosphere in Kasipul and how volatile it can get. And while the questions and concerns were being spoken to and about, the political succession discourse picked up, with hearts beginning to be thrown in the ring, one that is a delicate, sensitive, and raw nerve political arena.
Tokendado gonu erokamano maduong kombiro yuago ogaima milambo erokamano. First of all, as a family, we are not intimidated. We can't be intimidated. Mzee was a fearless person, and what I'm sure of, he never raised a coward. So for those who thought that by intimidating us, by eliminating that they will succeed, that won't happen. It will not disrupt our cause for the people of Kasipul.
As a family, it is our wish not to force. Mjumbe had a mandate of 5 years. So tulikuwa kwa sababu alikuwa ameshaweka structures, vitu zingine alikuwa ameshaweka. Na hizo vitu sisi ndio tulikuwa tunajua. So tulikuwa tunaomba watu wa Kasipul atupatie nafasi ya those 2 years remaining.
But while the family says it wants to have one of its own taking over the reins in Kasipul constituency, not everyone in the area is on board this ship.
If the Kasipul people feel that part of the Were family is good enough to go, we don't have a problem. But actually, if the seat falls vacant, it is the Kasipul seat that is vacant, not the Were's family seat. That I say I can be quoted.
We are ODM zone. That one we understand. But ODM, please also, let us not force us with an aspirant. Let you not force us with the aspirant. We want a clear nomination, tuende kwa nomination, mtu mmoja achaguliwe, aende election, na hivyo. Lakini if you force us with an aspirant, then we will choose an independent candidate.
We don't cry sana ati tusaidiwe. We are ready to face whoever is interested because that's their democratic right. Yes, we are ready to face anybody interested for ballot ya ticket ODM.
Our week-long efforts to get a comment from security apparatus from Oyugi's police station, the sub-county headquarters, were futile, with the sub-county police commander referring us to his superior in charge of county security, the county commissioner, who equally advised that owing to ongoing court process, security teams cannot comment on the matter. Interior Principal Secretary Raymond Omolo gave us the same reason in declining our invitation to an interview. The PS, a son of Homa Bay County himself, has been among the individuals whose names have been thrown around in the entire matter. The slain legislator Charles Ong'ondo Were might have been buried 3 weeks ago, disappearing from the face of the earth, but his shadow continues looming large and his image recurring every so often for as long as the judicial wheels continue rolling in the quest to establish and nail his assassins and possibly the masterminds. The epitaph on the cross that is planted on his grave is drawn from the Holy Bible, the book of Revelation chapter 21 verse 4.
He will wipe away every tear from their eyes. There will be no more death, or mourning, or crying, or pain, for the old order of things has passed away.
I pray for peace for Kasipul Kabondo. There has been turbulence. I pray for peace.
Duncan, Khaemba for NTV.